Today, what we wanted to do is we wanted to run through the top 3 questions that we heard on last Thursday's Zoom with the Fraternity. So without further ado, let's dig in. First question.
Since my revenue has plateaued for a few months, what do I do?
So if your business is stuck at the same revenue and you're struggling, right, to accelerate the growth, well, looking back historically on what you invested in marketing-wise will tell the story of where you're going to be in the next 6 to 12 months. What I mean by that is if you're struggling to grow and scale revenue, but you're applying the same amount of effort, the same amount of investment in marketing as you were 6 months ago and hoping that it's going to get you to a different destination, I think you're fooling yourself. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What you've done in the past needs to continue to scale. And so very simply put, if you're marketing on Facebook and Instagram and you're stuck at this revenue number, let's say you're creating $1 million of revenue a month and you're investing $200,000, right? 20% of your revenue, right, is directed at marketing. If you're looking to grow and scale the business, 20% of your revenue is going to get you to the same place as it has historically. In fact, in an inflationary environment like we're in today, it might hurt you. You want to speak to that a little bit?
I mean, one of the things that's important to keep in mind as a small business owner is your employees. So when they see revenue stagnate for 3 months, I think most of them look at where they work, look around them and say, that's okay. But once that time frame stretches to 6 months or 9 months or 12 months, I think they're not stupid. They're aware that they're working somewhere that's kind of stale. And what do they start to do? Right? They start to change their LinkedIn profile. They start to look around and they're now just open to other opportunities. Now, is that your fault? No, you might be happy with the revenue level you're at. It might be providing your family the living that they all want and deserve. But that is not the law of running a business in the United States of America.
Yeah. It's well put.
It's grow or die.
If you're trying to build an enterprise level business, then you got to do what Dean is saying, right? You got to look at the business as a living, breathing entity, something that you have to control for the growth and also the health. You don't want to chase revenue by sacrificing profitability. But at the same time, like Dean just said, if you're a business owner and you're applying the same amount of marketing dollars month in and month out with an expectation of breakthrough growth, you're fooling not only yourself, but you're also trying to fool your employees.
All of a sudden, they're going to start to receive those emails from recruiters and those phone calls from recruiters in a more positive manner, right? They're going to be more open-minded to hearing those offers.
So give some quick advice, right? My business is stuck at the same revenue for months. How do I break through that plateau? I said you have to put more coal, right? You have to shovel more coal to get that locomotive moving.
Yeah, and there's probably something else you're missing in this whole picture of stagnating revenue, which is the business owner's responsibility to set proper compensation and incentives. So, wow, your revenue has stagnated. Well, why is that? Are the people that work for you in every nook and cranny of your business properly incentivized to drive revenue higher, drive profits higher? What are their incentives? Do they have any? Right. And so a lot of times the answer is, I don't know. I thought they were just going to keep doing more. Well, they're not.
Yeah, it's the greediness. So don't mistake, if you're a business owner and you're running this business as a lifestyle one because you love indulging in all the treasures and the trappings of being this entrepreneur, don't think for 1 second that, one, your employees don't see the trappings. Oh, Bob got a new boat. Oh, I saw Bob on social media. He got a new truck. Oh, wow, they just moved. Don't think for 1 second that there isn't transparency into what the business owner has And don't think that you can control how that message is then received by your employees. If you're looking for greedy employees, great. Don't think for 1 second that the greediness stops with them, finish my sentence. Don't think for 1 second that if they're greedy employees, that you don't have to tailor a compensation plan that caters to the greediness. Don't think they're doing this pro bono, in other words.
No, there's nobody inside your organization that is just feeling so good about what you guys do every day, unless you're feeding orphans or housing animals at the shelter that were rescued.
Yeah, but they're salespeople by nature. They're greedy. Understand that, right? And if there is transparency in the trappings that you're accumulating, houses, boats, jet skis, vacations, homes, that in that regard, use that as a foundation to sort of feed into the compensation plan of your employees.
When all of these things are visible inside a small to medium-sized business, boy, does this create problems. Now, you think that the problem it creates is the employee looking at it, because it sure does, right? The employee's like, I'm driving my beat-up ass Toyota Corolla, and this guy's got his 911 Turbo parked, and he just had it wrapped.
Sounds very personal.
It's very personal. And so, yeah, the employees do feel like, why not me? But that's a small-minded employee that feels that way, right? They should be thinking about their own personal growth. The problem for me is more of the Jeff Bezos problem. And the Jeff Bezos problem says, what does Jeff Bezos say? Bezos says that your margin is my opportunity.
Tell me more.
All of these fancy things that you're accumulating, your competitor is looking at those things, noticing them, and knowing that by not buying all that crap and not, cranking his lifestyle or her lifestyle up to that degree, he's going to invest more in the business. And guess what he's going to do? Going to beat you. And so if you don't think of business as a extreme competition in Olympics, you've lost your mind.
Yeah, because your competitor is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, hopefully it's not Jeff Bezos.
Hopefully it's not. That kind of leads into question number 2. My marketing budget is tight. What's the best way to get more customers without breaking the bank? If you're a business owner and you're looking for growth, you want more customers, but you don't want to break the bank. Your marketing budget is tight. I think you need to start looking at the sea of customers that exist like an ocean. Think of yourself as a tiny little dinghy inside of that ocean. And your marketing, as it relates to this anecdote, are fishing poles. A small business can still attract a lot of customers being inside of a dinghy. You're agile. You can accelerate to different spots in the ocean. You're not a big cruise liner that, in order to sort of redirect it at, the school of fish has moved east. All right, well, we gotta turn around. That's going to take 3 weeks. No, you're agile. You're a tiny little dinghy. You're a tiny little fishing boat. You need to put more poles in the water. And those poles can be 2 different things. 1, they can be marketing, and 2, they can be salespeople. But don't fool yourself for 1 second into thinking that you can do it with 1, but you can't do it. You can do it with 1 and not both, because you need both.
Well, no one sells better than me, Bill.
I can't think of 1 example of a successful business that's run by a solopreneur. Probably the weakest example of a business owner is a real estate agent. That's the example par excellence of big ego meets salesperson meets no revenue.
What are all the real estate agents doing?
I'm pretty sure that I got my Starbucks this morning by the best performing real estate agent in San Diego. Yeah. They're the worst salespeople in the world. And that is why they have no business today. It's independent of interest rates. These people don't know how to find business. And I think as it relates back to my marketing budget's tight, right? How do I get more customers without breaking the bank? Well, if you're a real estate agent right now and you're looking for business by shaking your ass on TikTok, guess what? Right? As someone who buys $1 million homes, I will never hire you.
Is that what you do? What they were for.
Yeah, I mean, is that what you do? You're sitting on Instagram or TikTok. You're like, you know what? I really like the way he or she shaked his ass on Instagram and TikTok. I'm definitely going to hire that person.
No, I've never seen an ad like that.
I just no. Listen. I'm sort of, it's tongue in cheek, but what are they doing? This is the best example, right? Of my marketing budget's tight. How do I get more customers? Shake your ass on TikTok.
Well, I think this is an interesting.
Listen, what works for an 18-year-old girl does not work for a real estate agent. That is not a brand. Ryan Serrant, which is one of the best, which is one of the best real estate agents, or at least most enterprising real estate agents, builds content around himself as a brand, then builds a community centered around him as the brand. You want to build content around yourself? Firstly, position yourself as someone who knows something. 2, give away that value for 3. Number 3, have a product or a service that you're willing to sell that is a low cost product, but delivers a high amount of value. Once you get that person in the door, number 4, have a higher ticket price on something that you want to deliver value on. It can be coaching. It can be a checklist. It can be a blueprint. It can be a white paper. It can be a case study. But bring that person in the door for that high ticket item. Once you've already established yourself as someone who knows something, someone who's willing to give away that info for free, someone who has a low ticket offer, and then lastly has a high ticket offer. That is how you build a cult of personality around yourself. Real estate agents that are shaking their ass on Instagram and TikTok do not understand this.
Yeah, but maybe they just learned a crappy lesson from watching $1 Million Listing, and they thought that since they can't get an audition for $1 Million Listing, the next best thing to do is to go on TikTok and start dancing.
Maybe. Or if you're a real estate agent and you're trying to build a brand around yourself, show me a day in the life. Show me what it's like to fail. Show me the frustration centered around someone not taking your offer. Show me the difficulties with running a team. Show me what it's like to find a property, rehab it, and remarket it. Create your own YouTube series.
Or really almost any type of small business owner today, you have to build a personal brand if your marketing budget is tight and you're looking to grow the business. And there are so many options today, from social media to digital advertising. It's incredible compared to 5, 10, and 15 years ago. And we see that, both with the success of shows like HGTV and $1 Million Listing, all the way down to the virality of TikTok content that's relating to sales and business and other business related content.
Demonstrate that value, give it away for free, and then watch, like Dean said, you build a personal brand, then you build the community centered around you, then you deliver a low ticket offer, then you deliver a high ticket offer. And that's how you win as a business owner on a small budget. Number 3, I'm swamped with work. Should I finally hire full-time employees or stick with contractors? Dean, this is a great one.
Contractors. This can mean so many different things to so many different business owners. But I think it's important to point out that the same way that we've never seen a big successful business run by a solopreneur, a solo salesperson, I mean, the same thing can be said here, right? You're never going to see a large business run by a business owner with a bunch of contractors, right? Contractors are not on your side, right? They don't work for you. At best, they're 1099. At worst, it's some company you've found offshore. And there is a right place and time to use contractors, like at the very early stages of your business. When you need to make a logo, you got to build a website. You got to do things that are a lot less expensive through contractors than, because you can't afford to hire someone full time to do those things inside the business. Sure, it makes sense, but as quickly as possible, get out of the habit of using contractors specifically for key roles inside the business.
You want to bring employees and have their indelible fingerprints on your business and on the vision as it relates to key elements, key corners to the business. For, if you're struggling as a business owner to make a decision whether or not to hire full-time employees or to stick with contractors, I want you to ask yourself this. If you couldn't control what the contractor does in his or her position, are you okay with that? If you're okay with that, chances are that's not a position, that's not a job, and that's not a function of the company that's important.
I understand your sage advice of staying away from contractors for certain reasons and certain roles, but where who am I supposed to hire first? What department? Where do I go? I can give some advice, some fatherly advice, that if you are confused about where to put that next or maybe first employee, where you're moving from contractor to employment to full-time employment, and you don't know what that most important aspect is to your business, where they're going to add the most value, hang up the old cleats, get out, go work for somebody. This is not the right thing for you. And sometimes that is good advice, right? If you can't identify the part of your business where having a full-time employee is going to add the most value and where you should attack first, and you're not a decisive leader in that sense, this probably isn't the game for you.
Yeah, being an entrepreneur is not for everyone. So I think if you work well with others, the chances are that you're going to grow your solopreneur enterprise into a large functioning business. If you're a prideful human being that can't work well with others, you will remain a solopreneur, and perhaps you'll have a lifestyle business that supports your family. But if you're looking to grow and scale a small business into a large one, you will go through a process of it's just me, to delegating responsibility, to hiring contractors and hiring VAs, to then delegating responsibility to part-time to full-time employees. And you will then, I feel like the last stage in your development is you will hang up the old cleats of being the business owner that manages the most important decisions made within the firm. And you will then hand over the reins to trusted employees in all four corners of the business to drive the vision forward without you necessarily having to have your fingerprints on every major decision that's made in the company. I think today was a great episode. Those three things that we focused on: stuck at the same revenue. How do I break through the plateau? My marketing budget's tight. How do I get more customers without breaking the bank? Number 3, I'm swamped with work. Should I hire full-time employees or just stick with contractors? Those 3 questions are probably the most poignant questions that a small business owner should be asking him or herself, right now. And if you are a business owner that finds yourself struggling with the answers to these questions, I encourage you guys, click the link down below, go to www.jointhefraternity.com, be a part of the community that Dean and I and 200 other small to medium-sized business owners are building. I think you'll extract a lot of value. And at $97 a month to gain access to this community, to be on those Zoom sessions where you get sage advice from Dean and to a lesser extent myself, I think it's just a tremendous opportunity. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Business. We will see you guys next week. Adios.